They brought some Cheez-Its for you guys. Randy's got them if you'd like them.
Stock up. Everybody ready with their audio behind me? Ready? All clear? All clear, I'm told. All right, Carl Edwards. First practice just ended. Big night tomorrow night. You're in, you're ready to go, but what did the track tell you for the last 2 hours?
My car felt, it didn't feel very good, and we were still really fast. So I think it's going to be a pretty grueling race tomorrow night. Come on, Randy. I think it's going to be a race a lot like the spring race where everybody's struggling to find grip. There'll be the cars will be moving around a lot, and our Cheez-It fusion was really good. Our Copart fusion was good, or Mustang was good for tonight too. So to me, this is a fun weekend. We're locked in, so we can go out and just race really hard, race for a win and those 10 bonus points, and but most importantly, just have some fun. It's a pretty relaxing weekend for me.
Sounds good. Questions for Carl? Raise your hand. We have microphone helpers. Mike Vega. And then I see Jay in the back. We'll start with those two.
Hey, Carl. Mike Vega, Boston Globe. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the momentum your team has generated here. You talked about how you're pretty enthusiastic looking at the chase and how you felt like you guys were going to be as good as you were in 08 and in the chase, I'm saying. What importance do you place on momentum going into the chase, and how do you sustain it? How do you gain it?
Well, like I said last week and the week before that, I used to just laugh at people who talked about momentum. I thought there's no such thing as momentum in the sport. You are what you have at the racetrack. But lately we've been kind of building this momentum, and it's been working, and I'm enjoying it. So I think that this will be the previous 8 or 9 races have been very good. If we can make the next 11 of them, if they can be as good as the previous 9 of them, I think we're going to be really good. When we sit down and look at the schedule, like we did yesterday, and looked at the chase races and our plan at approaching each of those races, we feel like we have a car that could win every single one of those races. That's a far cry from where we were 6 months ago. So I'm really proud of my guys, and if that's momentum, I'm enjoying it, and I'm all for it. So hopefully we can keep riding it. Well, I think when you run poorly for so long, now that we're running well, I see things that maybe I didn't see before when things were a little easier. I can see the spring in the guys' steps. I can see communication between team members being better. And I think all of those things combine to really make you run better. So, that's the part of momentum that maybe I didn't understand before. So, we'll see if it works. We could go start the chase and run terribly, and then I'll be right back where I was. But I think we're going to be pretty good.
We'll go Jay and then David Newton.
Jay Pennell with front stretch and all left turns. Could you talk about when you go into the chase, you're going to have 2 other teammates in there with you. Could you balance being a teammate and racing in the chase? And you look at a guy like Kurt Busch, he's got 2 teammates that aren't in the chase. Is that kind of an advantage for him? I mean, you guys got David Reagan kind of in the same boat, but talk about having teammates in the chase versus guys not in the chase.
Well, it all depends on the way everybody's performing. If we're all performing very well, it could get pretty tense. Towards the end, you might not share as much information if the guy you're racing for the championship is in the same shop as you. But I think right up until that point, it's advantageous to have guys that are in the chase that are that are working just as hard for the same goals. I feel that we've kind of built this bond in the trenches over the last year and a half that I feel is working very well. So I don't see why that wouldn't continue. Last lap at Homestead could be different, but I think up until then it's advantageous to have our guys running well.
We'll go David, then Dustin, and then Jeff Hood.
Yeah, Carl David Newton, ESPN.com. Do you think that the have-at-it mentality is going to continue in the chase, and do you worry about drivers paying each other back and causing havoc there?
Who knows? This thing, it's been so wild this year. Everything, each race is different, and it's just you just never know. So I think that the wild thing about this chase is that there's really 14 guys I think that could win the championship, in the garage. So it's going to be hard to. I can't pick a favorite, as a fan looking at it. I can't say who's going to be the favorite, and I don't think you can say who's what rivalries are going to build. This is going to be. I think this is going to be the best chase we've ever had.
Dustin, then Jeff, and then I see Holly.
Dustin Long, Landmark Newspapers. Carl, going into the chase, what are the questions or unknowns or uncertainties that kind of come to your mind as you look ahead to the next 10 weeks after this weekend?
That's a good question. For me, the big unknown is Charlotte, and that's taken for granted. I mean, obviously, Talladega, Martinsville, those are going to be 1 and 2. I think on the bottlenecks. Those are going to be the races you have to make it through. But for our team, I think it's Charlotte. We've run really well there. We've run really terribly there, and as a group, I hope we can go there and figure that place out and have a good race there. But I feel the way we've run it, at Dover, the way Casey and AJ ran at New Hampshire, the way our 1.5 mile program's been, I think we're set to run really well. It's just Charlotte. Even though it's 1.5 mile, it's just different,
Jeff, Holly, Joe Minzer, and then Claire.
Jeff of RacingToday.com. Carl, considering the fact that you had only led 6 laps in the first 24 races, how important was it to go to Atlanta last week and lead 32?
Yeah, that felt good. I mean, you guys, we talked after the race, and you guys know how much fun I had. If we have cars like that every week, we'll lead laps, we'll win races. And I think that like I said last week, the fact that we haven't led that many laps and we've run this well in the points, that shows kind of the determination and the experience level that our team's built. If we have cars that can run like we ran at Atlanta, and it kind of makes things easy. But when you've got cars that that you can't lead races with and stuff, it takes a really good decisions by the crew chief, really good pit stops, takes good decisions on the racetrack by the driver to be able to build as many points as we built. So I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but it's like while you're not that good, you kind of build everything up, and I feel like we're ready. If we can have cars like that, we're ready to do some serious, good things on the racetrack. But that was fun.
Holly.
Carl, several drivers have come in and said kind of what you are as well, that there seem to be, 6, 7 guys that could really win this championship. We're not hearing the 48 being so dominant. Do they feel more catchable to you guys this year? I mean, are they vulnerable? Do you feel better about the odds of getting them this time?
You just never know about those guys. I mean, there was one of the championships that he won. I can't remember which one it was. And I sat there at the banquet. And I told Jim, I said, there was a point this year when I felt sorry for you. Like, I felt bad for how bad your year was going, and here he comes and wins the championship, So, you guys know how those guys perform and what they're capable of. I don't think you can ever count them out, but I do believe that everything's narrowed. The gaps between teams have narrowed up, and it's really anybody's championship. And I believe more than ever this championship's going to be defined by bad days. I think there will be a number of teams that run very well, and the difference between them and the rest of the teams are going to be the bad days, So it might not be how many races you win or how well you run.
Joe.
You don't need a microphone.
No, not really. Carl, based on what you said about this possibly being the best chase, if it does turn out that way, do you think that will influence whether there are changes made to the chase going forward? And also, what's your opinion on changes versus leaving it the same?
I think if we can go out and have a battle like it looks like we're going to have, I think you're exactly right. I think it will make a difference as to whether or not we change it. I think NASCAR is in a tough position, PR-wise, to change something now anyway, because if they don't change it right away, it looks like it's a reaction to something that may happen in this chase, which I don't think they would do anyway. But my opinion is that we should just take the points and the rules and the way they run it and just lock it in stone for a certain number of years, and that that repeated, you know, the longevity of a system, I think will lend credibility to it, you know, by nature or by definition. So if you keep changing it, it's hard to have, you know, to believe, hey, this is the champion and he deserves to be champion. So I would like them just to keep it, whatever it is they're going to do it, and keep it the way it is, you know, or keep it that way for a long time. And I think this is good.
Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius NASCAR Radio. I asked Mark Martin this week about the race last week, and what 24 laps to go, all of a sudden everybody was on fire. You know, you could just feel it at one moment. And he said it's earlier and earlier that go is coming at it. Not that you're not racing hard, but can you talk about the intensity that you feel, and if you're feeling that intensity earlier, and if you could talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the first time I ever felt that, I don't know if you guys can see that every race. You know, it's like there's a point in the race where it's a flip switches in it, or a switch flips, everybody just goes. It's like it's all or nothing right then. The first time I felt that was in 2005, the last restart of that race at Atlanta. I started in the lead, and Jimmy was on the outside, I believe. Wherever he started, he blew by me going down the first corner. It was like he was just, you know, driving at a whole different level. And it's pretty amazing that all the guys in this field can do that really every week, especially if you have a late restart. And I don't know if it's getting, you know, earlier and earlier in the race, but it's amazing in the driver's seat. You've really got to just, you know, tighten your belts down. When they throw the green, you've got to just, you know, just go really, really hard to keep up with those guys. It's pretty spectacular.
Is it everybody at once can sense that? How does it start?
Sometimes if you have multiple restarts, you'll have one guy just go ballistic, you know, down into the corner and move everybody out of the way, and then you can see it like it's like little light bulbs over everybody's cockpit. And they're all like, "Oh, let's race like that," you know. So, but a lot of times it's just that you kind of get a sense in the race that this might be the last restart. You know, let's just go for it. And at a place like Richmond, that's going to be you know, that's going to happen easier, and then combined with the fact that so many guys have nothing to lose tonight, this could be or tomorrow night, this could be a pretty wild race.
What else for Carl? Got one over there in the corner. Go ahead.
Yeah, Charlie Leffler, Mechanics for Local. Carl, some of the drivers have indicated that they picked up some stuff from practice with the new nationwide car that they could carry over to the sprint car.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way, and is that going to give the guys that run tonight a leg up on Saturday night?
I think that with the size of this track means that, you know, that you drive the cars more similarly than you would at a bigger racetrack. So that combined with the you know, the style of car being so close, I think you can pick up a little bit, but it's still a different front end. It's still the huge horsepower difference. But this track's really line sensitive, so it's always helped me to run the nationwide race the night before here. It's and I think it'll help tonight, but it won't be a big difference from years past.
Anything else before we let Carl go back to work? No? Good luck tomorrow night.
All right, thanks, guys.